Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ethereum Chats. This is a new series. This is actually our first interview. Full disclosure, MetaPool did reach out to us to inquire about doing an interview. With us today, we have Claudio Cossio, co-founder of MetaPool. I believe over the summer they launched a liquid staking product called mpETH. We're going to dive into that and the state of liquid staking on Ethereum. Claudio, thanks so much for being here today.
Glad to be here. It's been quite a bit of a ride the last couple of weeks. We've been on mainnet for around 8 to 9 weeks, I think it is. No, 10 weeks more so or less. It's been a blur. But yeah, happy to be here, and more importantly, just discussing staking, the state of liquid staking on Ethereum, and a little bit of background of MetaPool as well. Yeah, glad to be here. Thank you very much for your time, and a big GN to your listeners.
Before we dive in, do you want to give us a quick background? When did you first get into Ethereum and what you've been working on over the past few years?
Yeah, so I got into crypto, I think it was like 2018, 2019. And it was through participating as a limited partner on a venture firm in Guadalajara, Mexico. The fund was called Hackers and Founders. It was their LATAM fund. And they were thinking of doing a liquid fund. And at that time, it was something really interesting for me because it solved a big problem for entrepreneurs in emerging markets, which is liquidity, a liquidity event. As an entrepreneur, that's something really important because it keeps you motivated. It gives you an upside as well. And they were thinking of doing this liquid fund, which is tokenizing all assets from the different startups that were involved. And that's how I first met my Ether wallet. So it was really crazy, right? You go into this website and then you mint your private keys and whatnot. It was really interesting. And I started interacting with what was at that time one of the first smart contracts that represented tokenized stock, or more so equity from startups. That idea didn't go through because at the end of the day, those are securities. And so, yeah, it's the same thing as going on the stock exchange. So anyhow, but that got me started into Ethereum. So it was 2019 that I started to see some posts on Reddit talking about Ethereum. I didn't get too much into the developing it. My background is I have more than 20 years experience building software as a service applications on Salesforce, Atlassian, and so that was my day job. Then I was understanding how to build products on top of blockchain. The bug really bit me on 2020 when I got exposure to a couple of alternative assets that were offered through CoinList. And by being a Mexican citizen, I had the opportunity to get exposure to those assets. And so that got me into the rabbit hole of building applications on top of proof of stake platforms. And Near Protocol was our first real live decentralized application. And actually, through the Near ecosystem, that's how I met my co-founder Lucio. And so we got started in 2021, and we launched liquid staking. We were the first liquid staking solution on Near, and so that eventually got us some initial funding. We got a seed round led by Dragonfly, Dharma Capital, IOSG Ventures, and a couple of others. Now we're coming in last year during, I think it was Consensus. Yes, it was Consensus over in Austin. I met the SSV team. And at that time, they were discussing like a distributed validator technology and just understanding like how can the Ethereum ecosystem allow more people to have access to staking derivatives. And so that's how we started our conversation, looking into getting into Ethereum and offering a liquid staking token. Now, close to 3 years, full on building in crypto, helping communities in Latin America grow, and more importantly, educate around why it is important for people to be sovereign individuals and how blockchain technology will enable this, because it is a very important solution that we're bringing to the region, which is how can people hedge against inflation, get inflation, and how can people have better means to digital financial services that they have full on control over, and that they're basically permissionless and, more importantly, decentralized, which is something that we cannot say about fiat currencies here in Latin America. So I'm going to quote my co-founder, right? He says, I don't know why people are fudding regarding the current state of crypto bear market. because if you're in Argentina, by default, you have a shitcoin, which is the local currency that you have to deal with. Yeah, it's like blockchain technology brings a ton of solutions to emerging markets, and that's something we're super keen in focusing on, being a full-on Latin American team. Anyhow, so here we are, building and shipping as much as we can.
Yeah, that's quite the journey. MetaPool is based in Latam, and you guys have a unique perspective from that region. Getting into the current state of staking on Ethereum, I have some stats to pull up here. So there are currently 841,714 active validators. This is according to data from the Beacon Chain Block Explorer. There's 26.9 million staked ETH, which accounts to roughly 22.4% of Ether supply. In terms of network penetration, Lido holds 32.29% dominance. This is according to data from Rated.network. So Lido has about 8.8 million staked ETH. Coinbase is in second with 9.64%, followed by Binance with 4.59%, then Kraken at 3.08%, and then fifth is Rocket Pool with just 2.92%. In terms of penetration within the liquid staking tokens, according to a Dune dashboard by 21.co, Lido holds 73.71% dominance among LSTs. So, Claudio, what are your thoughts on the current state of staking and liquid staking on Ethereum?
Yeah, it's a challenge, right? It's something that we need to be totally transparent about. This is network effect at its finest, right? It is something that for anybody that has been building digital services, digital goods, or software understands this quite a bit, right? And so it comes as no surprise, right? Like they had the first mover advantage. Also, very importantly, they have like solid technology, right? Like Constantine and his team have done an excellent job at building a robust infrastructure around their liquid staking token. They managed to also build a lot of leverage. Now, of course, it is an issue. It is a problem that the Ethereum ecosystem is facing. I believe that having alternatives is important, even though we do face the issues around fragmentation of liquidity. But at the end of the day, we need to understand that there should be different solutions catering to different audiences. One of the big things we're focusing on is, of course, emerging markets coming from this region. And so for us is allowing people exposure to have access to a liquid staking token, which we believe is the most basic form of savings in the crypto space, where you're accruing value from the protocol. But more importantly is how that you're helping decentralize Ethereum. And right now, is it an issue? Yes. Is the community, the Ethereum ecosystem working on it? I think yes, very proactively. I think there's been a lot of people ranting and how can I say, making a case over on crypto Twitter, which is good. Now, the important thing here is, can we have good conversations with different DAOs and treasuries from protocols in the Ethereum ecosystem and allowing them to diversify their staking, their delegation, which I believe is important for everybody to understand that those, I believe, is the kind of like the first step towards really helping decentralization happen or get kickstarted over on Ethereum. And it's something we need to work together and have open conversations about it. Even though there's a lot of whales in the ecosystem, I believe that there will come a point in time where ETH is going to be more evenly distributed globally on a global scale. And so we have more people exposed to allowing Ethereum to be more decentralized. And for example, running solo nodes or solo node operators as well. I think that's a good initiative as well. And of course, alternative liquid staking assets such as mpETH as well. We hope to have a good impact on the ecosystem and bring value to not only end users, but also communities and also decentralized applications that are running on top of Ethereum.
Yeah, and MetaPool recently announced integration with SSV Network. We'll dive into that a little later of how that helps distribute the nodes geographically and also assists with the decentralization of Ethereum. So yeah, Lido is definitely the biggest narrative right now, Lido dominance. Other narratives I see is whether to enshrine or not enshrine liquid staking. And then there's also a proposal for max effective balance to be able to increase the amount of Ether you can stake with a validator. So those deserve their own episodes. On this episode, we're going to dive into MetaPool. Claudio, do you want to give us a high-level overview of what is MetaPool?
MetaPool is a liquid staking platform that is running on top of a DAO. That is how we started our Near protocol, and that's how we are approaching our multi-chain liquid staking strategy. Right now, governance is on Near protocol. For us, a very important next step is allowing our governance to be on EVM support. And so we're opening up our governance to the Ethereum ecosystem. So they will have a say in how the protocol behaves on the Ethereum blockchain. And this is very important for us because we've already enabled this over a Near protocol. We've successfully launched our governance version 0.1, where we are making an impact on the community because this is community run and will be a community owned protocol, which is something that needs to be put out there. Most of these liquid staking platforms, there's pseudonymous companies behind them. They have governance forums and whatnot, but their governance is not on chain. And this is something we want to change. And we really want to put forward in the Ethereum ecosystem how we get people aligned into deciding what's best for the ecosystem and also the liquid staking platform. For example, right now, what we're committing to is the first 2,000 Ethereum that are delegated to MetaPool will be all the staking reward fees will be allocated to projects in the Ethereum ecosystem with a special focus on emerging markets. The reason why we're building on top of Ethereum and any other blockchain technology is to have an impact on our region. And that's front and center everything we do. We're not running this to have a profitable business in the sense of for me and my co-founder and the team, the core team, to make a quick buck out of this. We're building this for the long term. Our backers are committed for us to launch a liquid staking platform that is owned and run by the community. And so that's what MetaPool is. It's a DAO that is controlling right now 3 liquid staking tokens, one on Near called ST-Near, the other one in Aurora called Staked Aurora, and then for Ethereum is mpETH, which stands for MetaPool Ethereum. And that's one of the first things that MetaPool is. And so it's a community-run liquid staking platform, and we're at an early stage of our governance. We don't intend to be perfect at the first get-go, and this is where having MetaPool be exposed to the, for example, Ethereum daily community is important for us because we need to hear feedback on what's not working right now currently in Ethereum, what needs to change, and for those changes to be applied to our liquid staking platform. And so that's what we're committing for the first 2,000 ETH to be allocated to back to the community. We're already doing this over on Near, where we're 50% of all staking reward fees go to people that are participating actively on the DAO. And then the other 50% is allocated to proposals requesting funding from the MetaPool DAO in order to have an impact on the community and increase awareness on why liquid staking is important. And so that's what MetaPool is all about.
You have mpETH. I believe it was launched in June of this year. It's a value accruing liquid staking token, just like our ETH. What's the difference between mpETH and other liquid staking token protocols or liquid staking tokens?
One of the big things is that it's not a rebasing asset. It's a self-accruing in value every second. One of the big things that we're pushing forward is accessibility to it. So in order for anybody to delegate their Ethereum on MetaPool, it only requires, I think the minimum is 0.01 Ethereum. Of course, the fees are going to be a little bit high. Yes, we always expect that. Are we going to go to an L2? That is TBD. But for now, for us, is allowing people to have access to a liquid staking token without requiring them to delegate a lot of Ethereum, which in emerging markets is something that is critical. Nobody is going to have, for example, right now in Colombia, where I'm at right now in Bogota, which is around like maybe, I don't know, maybe more than $6,000. That's maybe, how can I say, maybe half a year's salary from a normal bartender on here in Bogota. We want to make liquid staking tokens accessible to in emerging markets, and that's by allowing mpETH to be delegated on a tiny scale, and so allowing more people to delegate through MetaPool. Another important aspect is that we have an internal liquidity swap pool where people can come in and just swap their mpETH for Ethereum in order for them to have access to their staking rewards. We have low fees on the liquidity swap pool as well. That way, we're allowing people from Latin America or Southeast Asia to also have access to it. And those are several things that we're very keen on emphasizing. The other point is that we're delegating to validator nodes that are in emerging markets, and in this case, it's Latin America. Right now, we're running our own node, which is in data centers in Argentina. We will soon be supporting SSV with our DBT technology to support other operators all over the world, not only Latin America, but with a clear focus on emerging markets. Distribution of location is something that we're really keen on supporting as well. The other thing is we're very much community focused, and because that's how we started growing over in the other blockchain ecosystems. So that's why we're supported last coin round 18. We supported it with a round specific to Latin America. We're proactively funding projects, common good projects in the region that are helping educate folks around why staking is important, why it is a means to create an auto savings account, and so people can have access to basic financial services through the Ethereum blockchain. So that's where we are right now in regards to what makes us different from other liquid staking tokens. More so on our vision, we understand that liquid staking tokens are starting to be commodities. And so right now, we believe that value added is going to be through community focused initiatives. And more importantly, understanding that you're interacting with a DAO, with a full on chain DAO. And that's where we are.
Comparing this to other protocols currently with Rocket Pool, when someone deposits ETH into the deposit pool, gets matched with the ETH of a Rocket Pool node operator and they operate the validator. With Lido, it's a set of more than 29 node operators that spin up the validators. With MetaPool, when I deposit an ETH, where does that ETH go and who spins up the validator?
Yeah, right now it's an internal team. We're bootstrapping this ourselves. Their nodes run by the MetaPool core team. Those nodes are in Argentina. We announced that we're supporting SSV Networks, and so we're partnering with 4 operators there. We're one of those operators, and then we have 3 other operators based in Asia. That's where the geographic diversification is where we want to make an impact. This is going to be our first initial step towards helping Ethereum become more diverse geographically and also help Ethereum become more decentralized as well. So right now, our operators run by MetaPool and 3 other operators that are part of the first batch in the SSV network.
Could you touch up on SSV Network a little bit? They are a distributed validator technology, and I believe how this works is the validator keys get split and they're distributed to multiple nodes. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that works with MetaPool validators?
Yes, and just to continue answering your question, so the 4 operators that we're using right now is Crypto Manufacturer is one that's based in the US. We have HashQuark, which is based in Singapore. We have DragonStake, which is based in Spain. And then we have MetaPool, which is based in Argentina. And so, yes, how SSV Network works is just you split the key into 4 operators that you're diversifying your delegation. And then what happens here is those 4 operators, when you reach 32 ETH, they spin up a validator that is basically being shared by all 4 operators. And then you're diversifying also your chances or your, how can I say, the situation where slashing can occur for XYZ reasons. Maybe one of those operators go down. And so you then split the load between the other 3 operators. And so that way you're diversifying your risk regarding slashing as well. That's basically how DBT works. Of course, there's a fee that you need to pay in order to spin up an operator node, which is, I think, allocation of 6 SSV tokens in order for your operator to have a seat. And definitely, it is a very interesting way of allowing more diversity for node operators to be part of the SSV network. We're super keen on supporting SSV and just NDVT technology altogether. We think that it's a good way for more people to be part of this movement toward decentralization of Ethereum and for operators to have a less capital intensive operation regarding running Ethereum nodes, and also for solo node operators to also be part of this. It is a very early stage, so you need to be aware of that. Right now, it's currently being whitelisted by SSV, but then I think it's going to be in November where they're going to open it up for anybody to spin up a operator for spin up an operator for the SSV network.
Yeah, they're going to have their permissionless launch, which will be interesting to see the development of DVT. Going back really quickly to mpETH, I see the APY is 9.08%. Is that currently subsidized by the DAO?
Yes, we're subsidizing. I think it's going to be for the rest of the year. We believe that there's an opportunity here to get people excited about mpETH. Of course, the APY, that's always a good incentive, but also aligning to what MetaPool is all about, what we represent, where we want to have an impact. I think it's important for anybody that is giving the vote of confidence to delegate to MetaPool for them to get an upside of doing that, of supporting us. So basically, yes, that's where we're at right now. And like really excited. And like there's been a lot of good feedback from the ecosystem. We're keep on building and keep on shipping for sure.
LSTs typically have a commission somewhere between 5 to 10%. It's great to see that you've already committed the first 2,000 ETH into making impact in LATAM, and a certain percentage goes back to the mpDAO, which also creates impact. What's the current fee for mpETH?
Yeah, so the fee is 10%, and all this 10%, at least for the first 2,000 ETH, is going to go back to the community. It's not going to go to the MetaPool treasury. And actually, we're proactively funding the projects in all emerging markets right now. We guess with a special focus in LATAM, but for example, for the next Gitcoin Right Now team, we will have a special round for North and Southeast Asia. And so we're putting all those percent staking reward fees to good use. Really excited to see what projects come out of this Gitcoin rounds. And also, if any project wants to request funding directly to the DAO, please do reach out to us. We're keen to talk to you and see what possibilities can be made.
For anyone that wants to check out MetaPool, they definitely have a lot of initiatives going on. Their website is metapool.app. You can follow them on Twitter for the most recent updates. Claudio, thanks for coming on. Is there anywhere where people can follow you?
Yeah, so I'm very active on Twitter. So it's CCOSSIO, Cossio. And yes, MetaPool is the other venue. Reach out to us in Telegram and our Discords. And thank you very much, Ethereum Daily community, for listening. We're really keen on hearing from you. Any feedback, send it our way. And more importantly, let's keep on having an impact in emerging markets. Thank you very much for your time.